everyone. Dr. Brian Scott with you today as we get ready to study a little bit more about the insight to the end times. We are in the last of the last days, as I've been sharing with you for over 200 episodes now. And today we are continuing our study on the Antichrist, and I really want to share with you today how his end comes to be. That means we're going to be looking at the end of the tribulation period. In the latter half of the tribulation, there's a 7-year period of tribulation, as we've already studied. In the latter half of that, the last 3.5 years is known as the Great Tribulation, and that's when the work of the Antichrist and the false prophet is at its highest. It's also when the wrath of God that's being poured out is at its highest. And there's a number of events that occur during this last 3.5 years. I'm going to give them to you in as accurate a detail as I possibly can from the information provided in the scriptures. First and foremost, God has raptured the mid-tribulation saints, which is an innumerable company of saints. At the same time, the 144,000 Jewish witnesses or Jewish evangelists, they're about to be raptured in the very first portion of this latter half. And then God releases or brings to the earth 2 witnesses. These are 2 men who have presumably already been in heaven and have been released to come back to earth as witnesses to bring many to salvation. We don't know their names. We will know that in due course as this comes about. You know, when we are raptured into heaven, we're going to likely find that out. But these 2 men, these 2 witnesses come to this earth during the last half of the tribulation period. And in the very last day or so, maybe it's a day and a half, in the very last hours of the 7-year tribulation period, the beast rises up. That's a term used for the forces of evil, Satan's team, rises up and kills these 2 men. Revelation chapter 11, verse 7. They allow them to lie on the street for 3.5 days. So they're killed just a few days before the very, very end. They're allowed to lie on the street. It's essentially a mockery of these 2 witnesses. Then the next major event that occurs, and we're now getting into the last day of the tribulation period, there is a massive earthquake, a cataclysmic earthquake that comes. And this earthquake is so intense. It's referred to as the 6th seal in the original seal judgments. And here's what it says about it in Revelation chapter 6, verses 12 to 14. I looked when he opened the 6th seal, and behold, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became like blood. And the stars of heaven fell to the earth as a fig tree drops its late figs when it is shaken by a mighty wind. The sky receded as a scroll when it is rolled up, and every mountain and every island was moved out of its place. Wow, this is an earthquake like no other earthquake. Here's just to reiterate, the sun goes dark, the moon goes blood red. The heavenly stars collide with the earth. The heavens roll back, and every mountain and island disappears. The whole face of the earth is being changed, radically changed. This is the last day of the Revelation. And in fact, Isaiah chapter 13, verse 13, indicates that I will shake the heavens, and the earth will move out of her place in the wrath of the Lord of hosts, and in the day of his fierce anger. Isn't that interesting? That's a verse in Isaiah referring to this last day of the tribulation. And in essence, it could be saying this: the earth, which is currently on an angle, its axis is on an angle, may be restored to true north and south. Wow. So we have this earthquake occurring. Then, as this is occurring, God raises the 2 witnesses who have been laid on the street in death. He resurrects them. They come back to life, and then he raptures them into heaven. The earth now not only has undergone a massive upheaval, but now there's this fear and shock that's occurring because the 2 dead witnesses have been raised from the dead. At the very same time, Jesus Christ and his saints are returning to the earth on white horses, dressed in white, ready for the battle of Armageddon. Wow, isn't that interesting? Praise the Lord. And it says in Revelation 19, verse 16, that on his outfit, on his vestment, is the saying or the title, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. At this very same moment, the Battle of Armageddon begins. That's the 200,000 man army from the Far East, plus all the followers of the Antichrist. They come up and they're going to try and destroy Jesus and the saints. It says Jesus speaks a word. His word is like the sword of the Spirit, and they are all immediately dead. The entire enemy force is wiped out automatically. And that battle's over. Wow, that battle's over. Now, there's one last thing that occurs on this day. The Antichrist and the false prophet, those two men that were raised up by Satan to help him rule the world, they are cast into the lake of fire. Wow, interesting. Revelation chapter 19 as well. Now, we just have to pick up one verse out of Revelation chapter 20. This is the concluding activity on the last day of the tribulation. The Satan himself is thrown into the bottomless pit, and it's sealed up for 1,000 years. That closes off tribulation and readies us for the first day of the millennial reign, which we'll pick up tomorrow. Look forward to seeing you then. Thanks for joining us.